Welcome everyone. Please put on your headphones and increase the volume to truly appreciate a masterclass in sound design. Easily one of the strongest qualities of the game, this video is meant to be a quick homage to Relic's work in the beta so far. Welcome to Noob everyone, and let's talk about the impeccable sound design of Age of Empires 4. Alright, before we dive in, let me address two quick things. First, this is not my full review or critique of the game's sound design just yet. Unfortunately, since I no longer have access to the game's engine, I was unable to record many of the awesome sounds that I presume a lot of players skipped over or didn't realize existed. I simply ran out of time. Hence, this is meant to be a quick preview of the sounds from whatever I could put together based on some of my recordings as well as content from other creators. After the game launches and I have full access to the game's engine, I will make an extensive video about everything sound related in the game. Second, I will narrate over certain sections first to explain the scene and tell you what to focus on, and then I will shut up for you to listen right after. Hence, ensure that you put on a pair of quality headphones before we begin. Hopefully, you'll be able to appreciate the sounds in the game just as much as I did. And finally, I'm working with what I have, which is all pre-recorded clips. Hence, there will be some music in the background in certain sections that I cannot take out, so please bear with me as I move from scene to scene. That said, at least you get to hear some of these ambient sounds with the in-game music as well, so it's a more realistic depiction of the overall sound in the game. Okay, that's enough talking, so let's dive into the game's engine. Let's start with the overall ambiance. In an established town, we get to hear a ton of sounds. Try to focus on the direction of the sounds as well. It's really well done. The small sounds when dropping off resources is also a nice touch. Another important piece here is the additional sound coming from the buildings themselves. You will also find the occasional chatter or human voices as expected. Let's have a listen. In a less busy area, we can appreciate the individual sounds more. The sounds animals make, the grunts of humans, and everything else becomes much clearer as expected. You'll also be able to tell the direction of the lumber sounds very distinctly this time from the right. If you don't hear them coming from the right-hand side, check your headphones. Let's have a listen again. With even fewer villagers on the screen, we get to appreciate the ambiance and random animal sounds even more. Furthermore, pay attention to the scout's horse sounds as it moves from the right to the left and vice versa. Zoom a little bit closer and you really hear the sounds loud and clear. The game does a fantastic job with both volume and direction based on the angle of the camera in the engine. Quality stuff. You'll get to hear richer sounds overall and more of the human chatter that you otherwise would miss zoomed out. This should give you a much clearer idea of the scope of the work done in the audio department. Here's a clip with tons of commotion and siege construction. Even with all that going on the screen, we are still able to pick up a lot of the sounds loud and clear. Listen to how the villagers' sounds changes as the camera is panned away. Great work done here to unconsciously register that you're still in control of the unit you selected, but have panned away far from their location. It's sudden enough to give you that feeling of motion, but it's not jarring at all. It's quite seamless. You will also occasionally hear the wind, though this sound usually pops up in places that make more sense, such as hills or faraway mountains. I don't have footage of that unfortunately, but here's a clip demonstrating of a piece of this. In another example, have a listen to a Chinese town by the shore. Apart from the changing soundtrack and voice lines, you can clearly get a shoreline ambiance from the right-hand side. Let's get a bit closer to the shoreline. Now it's very distinct. Have a listen to a large army move with the camera fairly zoomed out. Here's another scene with a shoreline that is calmer with elevation. Here's a much calmer town in the beginning of the game. Notice the cough by the scout at the end. The overall soldier war cries in this game is fantastic, as you really feel they're heading into a clash or a raid. Furthermore, while I am critical of the torches animations myself, the sound of the soldiers destroying the building and the building destruction itself is quite well done again in the audio department. They're also synchronous, so pay attention to that. Here is another quick skirmish. Different soldier sounds, weapon sounds, and horse sounds are all well done. Another quick scene of a scout moving about with a calm ambiance. You can appreciate the smaller sounds in this one. Here's a quick pan to see how the sounds of the game fade in and out when you move the camera quickly. Here's a great example of an ambiance from the start of the game. Let's replay this one. Did you notice something subtle? Just in case you missed it, I'll zoom in on the scout. Focus on the legs of the scout's horse and have a closer listen. Yep, you guessed it. The sound team ensured that the idle animation would have a sound for each hoof stomp. The level of detail here is absolutely insane. Here's another calm scene with soldier chatter. You should also hear the subtle hoof sounds I've mentioned in the previous point. Moving on to deep waters, you will also see the seamless change in sound when zoomed in versus being zoomed out. The sound of the water, the gulls in the shore, as well as the ships moving and stopping have been executed quite well. And finally, here are some quick snippets of some of the in-game music. Music is a subjective thing to like or dislike, but I think they've overall done a great job building the theme of the civilization from the Dark Age to the Imperial Age, as well as have themes for battles as well. While I do still think there needs to be a bit of tweaking and some sections of the gameplay is completely without music, I think the music overall is done very, very well. That's pretty much it, folks. As mentioned, once I have access to the game's engine again, I'll be able to give you a proper review of the sound design. There's so much more than what I displayed in this video, and I just want to congratulate the devs on this particularly. Some elements in the game may be lacking or rough around the edges, but they truly outdid themselves in the audio department. Seriously, well done, Relic. Thank you for sharing your time of day with me yet again. While there are some bugs to fix and other things to tweak regarding the sound, such as the town center bell, this is a fantastic start and I can't wait for the final polished product. Also, there is still a ton of Age of Empires 4 content on the way for you folks to enjoy, so if you like this video, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. As always, thank you all for your continued support and see you all in the next one.